Hello, my name is Virgil Jones, and I'm here to tell you guys a little bit about a new app I'm designing called Tayla. Did you know that 102 million Americans are currently living in rental housing, and that number is growing? So you have people like Caleb here, who is worried about their getting their security deposit back after moving out, when there's damages or things that were done that they claim were there before, but they have no way to really prove it. You also have Sarah, who's a landlord, and same kind of issue. She doesn't know what was there. She doesn't really have a way to prove without having to dig through all these emails, photos, texts. So the problem is for tenants that we see is security deposit anxiety and communication friction. They don't know how to communicate with the landlord well. And for landlords, we get the unorganized documents, and then they also received damages to their property because tenants, again, don't know how to communicate to the landlords. So my solution is an app called Tayla. It's a simple app focused around tenants' needs. So primarily the security deposit, and making sure that all the documentation stays organized, and communication is the number one goal. So here you can see a little bit about how that would work. We would have a very simple home screen. Main feature would be the chat feature and requests for repairs, and then also for documentation. Where we stand against others, you have things like Tenant Cloud and Turbo Tenant, um, that are very bloated. There's a lot of content. They're really hard to navigate, and those are landlord-based programs. What we're designing here is a lot different because it's primarily made for the tenants. So it's made with collaborative documentation. So both the tenant and the landlord would be documenting their living space before and after they move in and out. And then it's a tenant first shared environment. So the a whole process of the design is about what the tenants need versus what the landlords can get out of it. So the revenue model actually follows this same idea. We would start with, for one property, it would be free to use. For up to 5 properties, a landlord would have to pay up to $6, and then up to 15, $15. And so the way that this works is that the tenant would actually be the one to use the app, install the app, and encourage their landlord to then use the app as well. So they would send them the recommendation and request that they wanted to use this app. There are about 11 million individual landlords in the US. 58% of those landlords own more than one property. So that means that there's a large market still for us to hit that $6 sell mark. So my go-to market to start with would be to focus on single local universities. Just the University of Arizona here in Tucson, 95% of the students rent off campus. So I feel like this would be a great place to start to see how our app would work. Then move towards the West Coast universities, where, again, 80% of the students rent off campus. Out of all the universities in the US, we have a range between 55 to 78% of students that rent off campus. So there's a large group of people to start using this app just out of universities, and that could spread to a wider audience afterwards. The team that I've put together is me as the CEO and founder. I'm also a computer scientist and web development software engineer. I'd be working alongside Kim Jenkins, who would be our lead UI UX designer, which is a very important component. Marcus Lance, another lead engineer for backend development, and then Jared Ham for growth and marketing. So we would be asking $1,500 upfront to get started. So 300 for legal fees, 500 for marketing, and 700 for app development. The timeline for this would look a little bit like this. June through July, we'd be doing some more research interviews. By August, secure our funding. September through December, we'd be doing our app development, and then hopefully launching the official first go of our app by January. So the idea would be to help people like Alex here, who's a university student who feels a lot less stress after moving out, finishing her finals. She gets to easily relax, and knowing that get her security deposit back and communication and everything with her landlord went much better. Thank you.